Joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show is truly one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and I'm not just saying that because he's kind enough to call into this show. The Thursday, right in the middle of his final days without putting on a helmet and getting ready for training camp. From the Los Angeles Chargers, one of the great touchdown makers in this league, Austin Ekeler, back here on the program. How you doing, Austin?
Rich, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me back on. Looking forward to it.
You got it. So I just want to dive right back in here with you about what's going on in the running back market, because Saquon has been franchise tagged and Josh Jacobs has been franchise tagged, and they seem to be having a heck of a time getting paid in the manner in which they want to get paid. What do you think is happening with the running back market in the National Football League right now, Austin?
Yeah, we're in a business. And I think both sides are trying to play the game the best they can, and that's what's being played out right in front of our eyes. We have our ownership who is right in charge of our salary caps. They control that portion of it. Mm-hmm. We control the play, and it's up for us as players to go out there and try to add as much value as we can. However, there's a game to it. There's a game to all of this business, and like I said, they're trying to maximize their dollars to put the best team out there, and we're trying to maximize our play to make sure that we can capitalize and get more dollars. And so there's this balance that has to go on. And, we're in the middle of a point where a bunch of money is getting flooded into other positions, not as much as coming into the running back market. And whether that's able to be justified, you can use different types of facts, whether it is, whether it's not, but that's what is going on in front of me as I see it.
What is it about the running back position then that causes you to seemingly fight for value in a way that other positions have not been forced to, Austin? What have you found about that?
I think it comes down to comparing. Let's compare, right? Let's see what the real value add to a team is. If I'm looking at some of the backup receivers out here that are still making more than me, and that's going to piss me off, right? I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So you're telling me these people or the number 3 receiver is going to make more than me, and I'm the starter. I get more carries. I touch the ball more. I have more of an impact. It causes us to question, right? We're going to fight for that. We're going to fight for, hey, I'm bringing more value to the team than this person. I think I should be compensated for that. And so that's where the fight comes in. And then you can compare our running back market to ourselves, mm-hmm.
as
far as who's adding more value in that, and then we compare ourselves to each other. And that's why Josh Jacobs, right, comes off of a pinnacle year. Saquon, very imperative for that offense out there in New York, right? They're wanting to get their value. They're wanting to move up. Hey, I compare to these guys. I should be up here. I should be getting paid this. I should be, Josh Jacobs should be at the top of the market. And that's how we look at it. That's how it is. And when we don't get that, absolutely, we're going to fight back. We have no choice, right? Yeah. It comes down. It seems like it's about money, but it's about principle, right? It's about the principle of adding value to a team. But then I also get it from the other side. If they're like, hey, none of these other running backs are getting paid, let's just see what happens. Let's franchise tag these guys, and then let's wait a year. Let's see what happens. So we're both sides are playing this game. And how it turns out, time will tell.
Well, it's not just that, too, Austin. It's Dalvin Cook being released at the top of June by his team. He's had 4 years of 1,000 yards rushing in a row. I mean, I could go over about his resume, but we all know it, right? He's now out there. Also, again, 38 touchdowns over the last 2 years. I mean, the yards from scrimmage are off the charts. And you're in a final year of a contract. If you don't mind, again, I know this is a few months ago, but you asked for a new contract and then felt compelled to ask for the ability to find a new team. That happened. What can you shed light on that moment of your spring?
Just from when I see the fans' perspective, because the fans are like, "Oh, Austin wants to leave. Austin wants to leave," and I'm like, no, I want to stay. Like, you guys, I want to stay longer. Like, I'm trying to get extended. I'm trying to continue to capitalize on this peak time that I'm going through right now in my life, right? I just turned 28. I'm not 30 yet. I'm working my way, but I'm playing at a high level. And so I'm going to the Chargers like, hey, let's get something done. Get me in here for another 2-3 years. And when they come and shut the door and they're like, no, we can't. We're not going to let you do that. that puts pressure back in my court where it's like, okay, Austin, see if there's other value out there somewhere else. And so I know I would have regretted it if I never did that. If I was just like, okay, Chargers, like, you know what, you don't want to do it. I'm just going to, you know, sit in my corner. And so, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to go try to find value. And so that's when I requested to go and speak to other teams, not because I wanted to get out, but because I want to make sure that I'm seeing all the options that could potentially be there. And, you know, if not, obviously the Chargers still want me back. We came up to an agreement, which, you know, people I don't really think understand that, because people are like, hey, congrats on your new contract. And it's like, I didn't get a new contract, but thanks, because the Chargers did show me some love and gave me some incentives when they didn't have to do that.
Right.
And so that's kind of the light on that story.
Well, that is, you know, it's great that you got something added to your contract. Again, it is incentives, and you are still in your walk year. But just last one for you on this one. What did you find about the running back market? I mean, what did you find when you were given the opportunity to walk out there and say, hey, who wants an absolute beast from the 20-yard inside and then an absolute beast between the 20s? Who wants that? Who wants a guy who can catch and run? And who wants somebody who's been self-made? Who wants that? And so what did you find, Austin?
You know, well, hey, I appreciate those kind words.
It's the word. It's the truth, though. It's the absolute.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm not stuttering. You know, I mean, it's the.
No, yeah, I know. That's how I've got here. You know, I'm a guy 5'8", you know, 195, but there's something different about me that's gotten me to the point where I am today. And so I definitely recognize that, and so I appreciate you as well. But what did I find out? I think it kind of shows itself, right? The fact that I am back in the Chargers, we had to come to some type of agreement. That it shows itself in other forms as well, not just my situation. But running backs are these teams are being really tight when it comes to the running back market right now, because there's no one moving. There's no one moving the needle, and so they're all holding strong. Of like, okay, nope, we don't have to pay these guys. No one else is paying them, so everyone hold. And that's kind of what we got pushback, where we have people that are like, hey, yeah, we think he deserves it, but the landscape is what it is right now. So that's just, we're not willing to put that up because that's not what's happening. So it's almost like, you know, it's almost like Twitter, where it's like, oh, we're trending to pay these guys, and then everyone else jumps along. Well, the trend right now is not to pay running backs. So everyone's like, okay, well, we don't have to do it either then. And it's whether it's right, wrong, and different, it is what it is. And so it's going to take something, right? Whether some guy stands out again, whether it's this year or one of these guys holds out and gets a big contract, but we need that needle to move to push us over the edge. Because here's the deal. The salary cap goes up every single year.
Yep.
Right? And so you see new highs in every single position. And I'm not saying we've had another Christian McCaffrey type guy who's going to even, you know, blow up the market in the running back and put a new high. We've had people that have been close for sure. Maybe you could justify that there has been, but there's no one even been close to those contracts. Not even close. And so that's what frustrates me, where you're telling these guys that are still playing at a high level, but you're still not compared to that, when it is definitely comparable to some point. So, yeah, that's what it's been for me. And so right now, a lot of us are going through this in the running back market. A lot of us starters, because my class, you know, the 2017, and then these guys just got franchised. Like, we're all in the same. Now we're going to be free agents next year. So it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild how this plays out.
Absolutely, which means obviously lots riding on 2023 for you personally, professionally, and things of that nature. So when you are around the building, what is the general sense about the Chargers in 2023, Austin?
Yeah, you had two parts in there. You said a lot's riding on 2023, but in my mind, I'm like, how else would you want it? You know, like, that's what gets me fired up. It's like, okay, like, my organization is betting on me having a decline after this year, right? Myself, I'm fully invested in this. Like, I'm fully invested. I have everything to prove, not just to all the other teams, not just to my own team and even myself, but, like, there's so much energy. There's so much just want to in front of me, and it gives me so much motivation, so much discipline. It keeps me on track. And so I love the position that I'm in. Even though it didn't necessarily play out the way I wanted to, I think it played out in the best circumstance for me to continue pushing forward as a human being. So I'm super, super looking forward. But going back to your next question,
yes, sir. Going
back to the Chargers, the potential in our room, you know, on paper, you know, we look good. I think we've seen that for, you know, the last X amount of years. But what's been our biggest holdup? It's consistency, whether that's through injuries, through people not playing to their standards, through, coaching. There's a whole combination. That's why football's so great. All of this has to work in some type of chemistry for you to have success. And if one thing is wrong, it's going to be hard for you to get through. You can still make it through, but it's going to be hard. And the more things you have clicking for you, the better you're going to be in the end. And so, time will tell with us. It's so hard to tell. We got some talent coming in that I'm excited about. We got Q that we drafted number 1. Love it. We have a whole basketball team now and me. Come
on now. You could be the Curry here. Come on now. We got you.
Oh,
we got you.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to go play out there, run around with the boys. It's going to be a fun year for sure.
No, I know. Is there like a sign, like an amusement park outside the wide receiver room? You have to be this tall to be here, and it's like 6'5". Is there a sign there in Los Angeles like that, Austin?
Yeah, I think it says you have to play above the rim, something like that. So I'm excited to see that to come. It's going to be a fun year, like I said. And we got people that contract years are coming up for people. Excited about Coach Staley coming back as well, and bringing the same defense. So I'm expecting bigger things from them this year. Just understanding what the expectation is, the culture's being set, and I think it's just a big testament and a big statement year for all of us, honestly. Where it's like, hey, we've had talent, but we've only made it to the first round of playoffs once, and so there's a lot of pressure. And like I said before on my other little statement I made, where it's like that's what you want. You want pressure because that means there's expectations. That means you've earned the right to have that pressure, and now it's just time for us to go out there and execute.
And your quarterback's got a contract coming, I would assume, as well. So
big one.
How does that play in your world, Austin? With that still hanging out there.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where it's like there's more things on our plate. For him as an individual, there's more on his plate. He's already super motivated, wants to do the best, but now there's even more on there. So it just continues to solidify how you want to continue to impress and move forward and progress. And so I know he's going to be, locked in even more than he ever has, just like he is every single year. He continues to get better, continues to learn the game, continues to understand and become more of that offensive, hey, I run this that we need. And I'm really looking forward to coming in. I think it's year 4 for him. So the kid's growing up. It's crazy.
How is Kellen Moore going to change things up? Look, I don't want you to give me your new playbook here on the air, but that is a huge question that is being asked in regards to the Chargers offense, bringing in the offensive coordinator of the team that had the most points per game last year in Dallas. How are thinking? What can you tell me, Charger fans, how this offense is going to look differently this year? Yeah,
I can't necessarily tell you before we actually see it play out.
Okay.
And here's the reason behind that, because whoever your coordinator is, I don't care who it is. Here's the thing: we're going to go through training camp. We're going to go through preseason. We're going to go through a couple games, and you're going to start to find out, okay, who's hot, who's not, who's our identity, what's working, what's not. Is there injuries involved? Like, all of these things play a factor into how we call the game. And so with Kellen coming in, maybe he has tendencies and stuff like that in the past, but he has a whole new team. So we got to figure out what our identity is. And you try to do that within training camp and preseason and in the first couple games. And so what to expect is, we'll see. We'll see. All I know is I want is some type of consistency and some type of identity where it's like, hey, this is what the Chargers are trying to do. And it goes from game to game. With Joe, last year, like, hey, we had a bunch of receivers beat up. So guess what? Austin, you're going to get the ball 20 times a game now, when you're usually getting it, 12 to 15 in there. And so I was like, okay, I guess it's on my shoulders now, or Gerald's. And so we play. This game is super fluid. And so as long as we're continuing, that's what makes a good coordinator good, is how you're going to get the ball in your playmaker's hand in the right circumstances so that we can maximize our efficiency.
So like actual consecutive touches for you inside the 10-yard line might happen this year, Austin? That happen?
If you want to score touchdowns, that seemed to be working.
That's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure. And by the way, that was not a fantasy complaint there. I did not get you last year because I didn't draft high enough to acquire you, sir. So tell me about your foundation. How's your foundation doing, Austin?
Yeah, man, we've been doing some special things, and I'm very, very thankful for everyone that's participated, whether buying merch or donating to our existing projects. We've continued just a little bit about it's the Austin Ekeler Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is, and our mission and what we've been doing is implementing physical resources back into communities that people can go and use to help better themselves. For instance, washers and dryers, weight rooms has been a big part of my life, and so that was one thing that I wanted to get back to schools that had really run down and outdated weight rooms. We just fixed the Long Beach Poly weight room, like floorboards sticking up. Like, it's one of the biggest schools in California, if not the biggest one, and we just renovated theirs. And so projects like that where people can go and actually utilize this resource, but that's what they have to do, right? I can't be there telling them to go work out. It's there. You can use it. And now that's up to you of how much value you want to get out of those resources. So that's what we're continuing to do. Equipment, school supplies, we've given bags, just different things like that. So, yeah, the Austin Ekeler Foundation, it's been amazing. I'm continuing to ramp up our effectiveness and looking forward to continue to do more in the future.
Yeah, new weight room for Long Beach Poly. Does that mean Snoop is on this program too, Austin?
He actually wasn't on it, but it was Juju, who also graduated from there.
Okay.
And then Jarrell Casey, who also graduated from there. That DN that retired a couple years ago.
Heck of a school. That's quite a list right there, and that's going to be unveiled and celebrated tomorrow. AustinEkeler.com/projects to learn more about the Austin Ekeler Foundation. You're one of my favorites, man. And when I was sitting, I understand it's a business. I understand there's cap and whatnot. It's just a head scratcher. What's going on with the running back market. And I'm just wondering, so are you sitting there with the popcorn buttered and rooting for Saquon and Josh this weekend? Is that?
Yes,
I'm serious.
Yes, I was rooting for them before they got flipped. All the running backs.
Right.
What people don't see on the outside is that they see their team, right? They're so loyal to these logos, right? Because the logos. But us as players, we rely on each other doing well to set new markets. I need you to get paid so then I can be compared and then I can be paid, however I should be paid relative to you. And when the league comes and puts a cap on it and says, nope, no one's making more than $10 million, that screws us because it's now all the comparables are what is there? It just caps it. And then we have all these guys coming into the last year. So I'm definitely sitting with the popcorn, but not necessarily because I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm more so just attentively watching, I'll say. Yeah,
maybe you could get some sort of a running back Zoom going, and you start talking to each other, like a union within the union here, and figure something out. I'm serious, though.
We wouldn't need a union in the union. We just utilize our own union. It just comes down to leadership, right? It just comes down to leadership. Who's going to take that step and actually bring us together to come up with some type of plan. But yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be done if this continues to happen.
Well, I'm rooting for you. I'd love to see you here in person if you're ever in this neck of the woods, in this neighborhood. But in the meantime, congrats on what you're doing with your foundation, and you go crush it.
I appreciate it.
You go crush it,
Thank
Austin.
you. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me on, man. I always appreciate it.
Right back at you. That's truly one of the best touchdown makers in the National Football League today, and in certainly this decade. Austin Ekeler, right here on the Rich Eisen Show, at Austin Ekeler on both Twitter and Instagram. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.